Hi,
So
how are
I'm
you?
so glad that you came to do this. So when did you first become a Lion?
Well, if you're talking, that's a two-part question. I became a Lion November of 1972 because I signed up and paid a check. But that isn't, I think there's a more important reason. What happened in your life that made a big difference? That's when I've heard many people say, that's when you really become a Lion. I don't know, this happened progressively with me, I think, because we had about 80 members in the Lions Club in Penland at first, and okay, that's fine. And then I suppose the next thing that I noticed that in January of 1982, I was chosen by the club to be the chairman of a convention. So I had lots of committee members, and I wished I would have been the one to think of it, but the transportation committee decided, hey, we're going to bring people from Portland, the ones that want to not drive, come on the train. And I think there was 100 or more that got on the train. Some came north and so forth. And so that was great. We had, they made arrangements with the bus company, school bus company, that they could transport the people wherever they were staying and whatever, and down to the convention center. So that was kind of a nice beginning. And so then the big guys from Oregon come in and said, oh, we're going to do that. We had a meeting in room 4. Sorry. I said, wait a minute. My committee didn't set that up that way. Listen to us. And oh yeah, then also Friday night a celebration. No, we've set this up. I said, wait a minute. They've already made arrangements with the Indians to do their thing. And it was just amazing how that went then. And now I think it's much better organized. But here the big ones come in and they didn't tell us ahead of time. And so anyway, I thanked the committee on what they did. And so then next thing I know, 82, I became kind of known around Oregon, accidentally, so to speak. And then it was 1982, which 10 years later. And Dave Schnebley said, and I didn't think anything about it. He said, Bill, can I come down to your office and talk to you? And I was working at the ESD then. And so sat there and talked to him. And he said, well, and we started talking. I didn't think anything about it. We want to place your name in nomination for district governor. Why? Because Tuesday night, the guy from Lapine died.
Oh my.
And that's when they had Medford, Oregon was where they had the convention. And I decided I'd gone to a few and I'm busy enough and I didn't think I had to go. And so then we're going to place your name in nomination. And I think it's much better today because it was Friday night at the banquet when you became nominated for district governor or a runoff for election. And so they called me then Friday night after that meeting and said, yes, you're now the district governor elect. So now you got to come down. I said, what? I knew I should. So then I says, well, I checked dumb me, I should have thought more broadly. I checked the airline schedule. Nope, can't get there until after the Saturday night convention is over. Check the bus schedule, same thing. So I told them, well, you need to come. Now we've checked for all those that have a private plane and nobody's available. But Bill, we know there's a Lion in Boardman that they're at I think he had a hardware store. And you call him. Well, I'll call him. So I called him and he said, sure. Every chance I get, I like to fly. He was a bush pilot in World War II.
Oh my.
And so he said, 3 o'clock, I'll be up there and I'll pull up to the gate there by the terminal and you just hop in and we'll go for a ride.
Wow.
And every chance he got, he enjoyed going up and to relieve stress and enjoy. And we had a wonderful conversation down in Eugene. So they met me there and gee whiz, I stayed with, let's see, what was it, Jackson? And so anyway, that was how I became and coming in Atlanta, Georgia at the International Convention.
Way to make an entrance.
Oh my gosh.
So why the Lions Club?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, Leakey Hicks invited me to go over, and his wife was handling finances for the ESD. And so one day he said, come on over to the Lions meeting. So I went, and there's about 80 members. But what I'd like to say at this point, we have, and I don't remember how many years now, we need to figure it out. 5, 6, 7 years ago, we have a better core group that works together and honors each other's strengths and et cetera than we've ever had in our Lions Club in Finland.
That's awesome.
Well, I think so.
So how many years have you been a member now?
Well, I was 50 years as of November of 1972.
Wow. It's a lot of years of service.
Well, it kind of fits, but there's just so many things. And I was lucky because when I was outgoing district governor, then we had a meeting in wherever it was, Eugene or whatever. And so they, you pick the holdovers and those kind of things. And they wanted me to be a holdover, I think it was, or something. I said, why? There's a lot of good ones, because they've wanted me to go and start being on the board of the Oregon Land Site and Hearing Foundation. So why should I do that when we have a lot of good people? So then, it was council chair and all that stuff. And I was pleased to do that because in 84, 85, I became chairman of the Oregon Lands Site and Hearing Foundation.
Wow.
And then following that, 90, 91 something, I was IBAG chair.
Wow, you've held a lot of service positions.
It's just been a fortuitous, let's say.
Yeah, yeah. So what was your occupation or trade, profession in outside of Lions?
Well, first I went into the Air Force for 8 years, obligation, but I was inactive for the last 4 and wanted to go to college. So I went to San Diego State College and worked at Stromer Carls in San Diego, and we built computer readout systems in the Research and Development Foundation. What an amazing opportunity. And there were no ICs then, so they were all individual components on a printed circuit board.
Wow. Wow. So do you have a special significant memory or fundraiser project that comes to mind for you?
Well, I should say a little more. I began teaching because I taught in the Air Force and needed a job because we had to come back to Oregon because my father-in-law died in 51 with pancreatic cancer.
Sorry to hear
a
that.
month after. Well, it's part of life and just be prepared, I guess, but thank you. And so then, gosh, I've just been through many things in Lions that have been very gratifying. Like being here today and meeting the people again and reconnecting and so on and so on. And I think I was fortunate to be part of the Hall of Fame. And it was kind of interesting, I thought, because pretty soon somebody called me and said, because they were looking more at the later ones, I think. And somebody called and said, oh, you were doing that many years ago? I said, yes, but whatever that happened for. But gee, I was so sorry to see, because Fred McNaughton is a fellow district governor. He was the youngest one to have been a district governor when I was there. His dad before him was, and of course, Don Bowers was one. I've forgotten the other one that died first from down around Cameron Falls or somewhere.
Yeah.
And so then I was so sorry. I heard, and I didn't know it, that he has dementia. And so therefore I've dealt with it because of, someone else. And so then I congratulated Sevens, his wife. And so that was really nice to be there for her. And so I'll give him a call and talk to her and provide some support. But
That's wonderful. Well, that's what Lions do, is we support each other, right?
oh yes.
So what words of wisdom would you like to pass on to our younger Lion members?
Become involved and don't just stay home if you can find out either carpool or something, go to conventions, whether it's your district or the state, because you'll learn lots more things. And there's some clubs I know of in Eastern Oregon, maybe other places, that have never gone to one. They're doing good work and things, but just like halfway, where I grew up. And now they have, gee whiz, quite a few members, but they were just almost going to fold at one time. And I know the reasons why.
Right.
And now they have new leadership. and they might have, what, 25 or more members.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, it's
The
not
old-
just about our local
okay,
service, but
for
it's the
instance, when I was
extended.
district governor, and it was one of the last last places I went, and it was LeGrand. And there were, so I used some of my, how I'd learned to talk about it, and I looked at them and I said, you are a leading club. I think they were the second oldest club in Enterprise, the oldest at that time. And I looked at them and I said, do you like what the rest of the state sees? You're a leader club. And I stopped. And boy, did it, you could feel the silence. They didn't know
Resonated.
what to say. Didn't know what to say. And so that was the message. And they had had a secretary that had been a secretary 25 years.
Wow.
And he ran the club.
Wow. That's amazing.
So the message to younger ones is share the leadership roles.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody needs to take a turn, right? So after all your years of service, how would you like to be remembered?
I suppose a good lion that tried to do the best they could. And I think there are things I've thought of that I probably knew it at the time that I sure could have done better, but I appreciate the opportunities I've had. But step up if something happens and do the
Right.
best you can.
Right. And that's all we can do. Well, thank you for your service to Lions. Thank you for your service to our country.